Different on my end too. All right, you ready? We should wait another minute or two.
We can wait a minute. I'm going to mute because I think there's somebody driving by and Oscar might start barking. So I'm going to take care of him really quick and then put myself on mute and I'll be right back.
When you come back, I'll start, okay?
He just got sick everywhere.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think his food didn't sit right.
Of course, when you get ready to start.
Yeah, so it's just gonna have to wait till we're done.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it short, so. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Good evening. My name is Miss Wood. Welcome to Moving Up Night. Miss Willis and I are going to talk to y'all about a few things as far as what to expect in second grade. We're also going to talk about the red bags that were sent home last week with the students. Everything that we're going to say could possibly change. You never know. We're going to say this again probably in August when we have open house. But we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, you have to. Okay. So this year's been crazy. It's not been ideal for anybody, of course. But I think the kids have done an exceptional job of adjusting, probably more so than parents and teachers. Again, I am Miss Wood, and Miss Willis is going to talk in just a few minutes about math. So you will get to, she's waving. She will introduce herself. And Miss Bass, some of you may know Miss Bass from last year. I think that she had these students, didn't she, Miss Willis? Didn't she have some?
I think so.
Okay, so she's not with us. She already had a prior engagement, but she, most of you already know her anyway, okay? And Miss Page is joining us. Right? Okay, I'm going to start by talking about reading. These are things that you can expect next year in second grade. The kids are already familiar with a lot of this because they've actually had to do this in kindergarten and first grade. But M-Class is how we test the students. They will be tested at the beginning of the school year, in the middle of the school year, January, and then again at the end of the school year. And these are just the BOY stands for beginning of year, MOY stands for middle of year, and EOY stands for end of year. These are the levels that the students should be on in second grade. When the students come to us at the beginning of second grade, they should be on a level I. Middle of the year, we like for them to be at a K, and then at the end of the year when we do in-class, which will be the final reading test, we like for them to be on an L or an M. We do have small groups, guided reading groups. We do that weekly, and you can also expect to have nightly reading assignments next year for the kids as well. Some of the curriculum that we will cover next year in second grade, again, this is probably something that they've talked about a lot in first grade. In second grade, we just kind of go over these standards in detail, more detail. There's the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, and why. Text evidence, we do this a lot in second grade. This is something they'll use in third grade. So we train the students to go back in the passage and find their proof by using a highlighter. We also use crayons. We practice that a lot. So that's something they'll be doing a lot of, and you'll probably see when they go home. We talk about beginning, middle, and end. We cover poetry, central message, main idea. We compare and contrast two stories. We talk about text features of nonfiction books. We talk about context clues, and we also cover character traits. All right, and then, okay, now I'm going to hand it over to Miss Willis.
All right, I'm Miss Willis. It's nice to see you. Hey, Miss Begley, I'll see you on here too. So I'm going to go over what to expect in math. It's a lot of it is an extension to what they are taught in first grade when it comes to place value, skip counting, addition and subtraction, measurement, money, time, all of that stuff, except we go into more depth. And we also, for example, in skip counting and addition and subtraction, we go up to 1,000. And I think in first grade, they only go to 100. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they just go to 100. Place value is the first thing that we're going to cover in math when they come back in August. We use that all year for basically everything. I feel like that comes into play with math for almost every standard. Skip counting is really important, and that also goes along with place value. Addition and subtraction within 1,000 with regrouping. That one's a tough one. That's probably one of the biggest standards that we cover, along with measurement. Measurement, there's a ton of different standards, but we're going to be dealing with inches, feet, yards, centimeters, and meters for the units. Money's a big one too. I know that they can probably identify money in the first grade, but as far as using them in word problems and doing more problem solving, real world kind of problems, they'll have to be able to do that. Time, they'll have to be able to tell time on a digital and analog clock to the nearest hour and half hour and quarter hour. So using that vocabulary like a quarter to 2 or a quarter to 1, quarter past 3, stuff like that. It really helps if you're using that kind of language with them. Geometry, 2D and 3D shapes. They have to identify them as well as partition them or separate them into equal parts. And then word problems, there are 1-step and 2-step word problems. So in the 2-step word problems, the numbers that they're going to be working with are much smaller, but the 2-step part of that is going to be new to them, and it's a little bit tricky for them as a whole. It normally stumps them a little bit more than a 1-step word problem. But in those 1-step word problems in math, they'll be using addition and subtraction up to 1,000. So they'll have to be able to comprehend and use their skills that they know in reading to be able to do their word problems in math. So those math bags that you guys got, they should have had a whiteboard, Unifix cubes, ruler, and 0 to 12 flashcards for addition and subtraction. Make sure that when you have these, like, for example, the flashcards, one of our standards in math is doing mental math with numbers 0 to 20. So they should just be able to, if I said 18 minus 2, they should be able to know off the top of their head that that's 16. I know that those cards only go to 12, but I took them out with my kids on, I think it was Monday of this week, because there was some extra in Miss Dawson's room, and they have problems like 12 plus 12. So they go up, doubles through 12, basically. I don't know, that's probably really confusing, but they can use those flashcards over the summer to really, really help them. There also is a whiteboard in there. I'm not sure if there was a marker in there, but whiteboard, Unifix cubes, and a ruler. The ruler is really important, especially the kids when we were going virtual, first 9 weeks and the third 9 weeks when we didn't have a ruler. Some of them didn't have rulers at home, and that was a really big, bump in the whole virtual process for us. So we wanted to make sure that you guys got a ruler. I think that's it for the bags. And then suggestions for the summer. So in order to prepare for second grade, some things that we can just encourage you to tell your children is encourage them to read over the summer, because that in class, like Miss Wood said, it starts right off the bat. And you guys know that from being in first grade and in kindergarten if you were at Locama. Epic, there's a website called Epic. You can sign up for free. If you have books at home, you can go to the local library. Order books from your child's teacher through the Scholastic Books. I know some teachers do the Scholastic program where, correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Wood, but I think it's they can do the book club, or it's like they can order a certain amount of books and get books for free. I'm not sure how that really works. I didn't do it this year. And then, let's see. Then also there are like workbooks. If you go to Five Below or Walmart, Dollar Tree, Target, Dollar General, anywhere, most of the time you'll see these math workbooks and reading workbooks. They're for all ages. I know that if at Five Below they have some pretty thick ones for all grades, K through, I think I've seen it up to 8th grade there. And you can just practice with building up their stamina for reading and get those workbooks so they can practice, using their crayons to find text evidence to help them answer a question, or just simple math problems. They're not very expensive, and that's only if you're able to. Don't feel pressured to do that at all. There's practice flashcards. I know at Dollar Tree, I know Miss Wood and I both went to Dollar Tree this year and got our kids some practice flashcards. I think there's all different kinds, from math to reading, and I think there's even social studies and science ones at some places. But if you're able to do that, just picking up something like that is super helpful. And then online resources. I know a lot of the kids love Prodigy. So if they don't already play Prodigy or have a Prodigy account, you can reach out to any of us, and that's a super easy, fun math resource for them. Wonderopolis, Fact Monster, and Splash Learn. Splash Learn's a good one too. I've just recently started using, and that's math as well. And those are really good for the kids because it puts them at a level based on their own abilities. It kind of figures out where they fall, and they can do random math facts. It's very fun. And do you have any questions? That's the last slide, I think. Anybody have any questions? If you do, you can unmute. If not, it's totally fine.
I'll just piggyback off what Miss Willis said. If your child's first grade teacher uses Epic, I'm not sure how long the class code will last through the summer, but you could log in if you have a Chromebook or a laptop or whatever. If you have some way to use technology, even if your child just reads one book per week. I know it's not ideal to make them do any type of work over the summer, but it will help tremendously when we start back to school in August. We see a lot of kids pass first grade, the reading level they're supposed to be on, and then by the time they get to us, because they haven't read any at all over the summer, they go back. So anything, if it's one book a week, anything will help. And if your child's first grade teacher does not do Scholastic, you could contact Miss Willis or I through email, and I know I use it. And there's some really good $1.50 books in there that you could go ahead and purchase and have at the beginning of the summer, and then they could just read that book, or you could purchase more than one. So anything will help. I guess that's my point. Anything will help.
Yes. Oh, yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was kind of fast.
Yeah.
And I was scared for a second my internet was going to go out. So if I cut out for any reason, then I'm sorry.
And we'll probably, I'm sure we'll do an open house at the end of the year, and things can always change. In class, I think that they have already approved that we are going to move forward with in class for next year. So I think that's in stone. And I know that we have another math program that we're going to start, but we don't know a lot about that yet. But yeah.
And another thing I was going to say about math is they typically, second graders start taking their first benchmarks for math. So they probably won't have one at the beginning of the year. Don't mark my words on that. But the second 9 weeks or the second semester, right after Christmas, they'll normally take a math benchmark on the computer, and it's kind of designed like an EOG. The format and everything is pretty spot on. I've taught third grade before. Miss Woods taught fifth, and it's set up just like you would take an EOG, and then they have one. Our second graders just took one this week on the same platform, and it is on the computer. And it was on the computer even when they were not in school, or when they were not virtual COVID, all this mess happened. So just be prepared that there will be math benchmarks as well, but I'm not 100% sure if there will be one at the beginning of the year. They, might say they're going to do away with them, but in every year that I've taught second grade, there are math benchmarks. So just keep that in mind as well. Just to see where you're at in math.
Yeah. And as far as we know, the kids will still have Chromebooks next year, and we will continue to use Seesaw, which should be a platform that all of y'all are familiar with. We'll continue to use that in class just so when we have those remote days, because I know the remote days have been scheduled into our calendar for next year, that the kids will know how to do it on their own. They're already going to be pros because they've had to do it this year. So we will continue using Seesaw as well.
Yes, they're better at technology than we are sometimes.
Yes, they are. They are.
But if there are not any questions, then I think that's pretty much it. And thanks for joining, y'all. It was very nice to see some of your faces. So I'm going to stop recording now, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Just so maybe it won't get so long.